Bishop e6 of Magnus Carlsen in Champion Chess Tour chess.com, and then winners bracket grand final 2 in round number 3 Bishop e6. Hello my fellow chessers. I'm gonna show to you, my fellow chessers, the chess game between Firouzja and Magnus Carlsen in Champion Chess Tour chess.com winners bracket grand final 2, and then this is round 3. So let's begin from the top, my fellow chessers. So let's begin from the top. Wait, my fellow chessers. So let's begin on e4 and then e5. Bishop c4. This is bishop opening, my fellow chessers. So knight f6. This is bishop's opening Berlin defense. And then d3, c6, knight f3, attacking the pawn on e5, my fellow chessers. e5. So d5. And then bishop b3, bishop d6, knight b d2. This is mistake. The best continuation on this position is castles kingside or knight c3, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game. So knight b d2, castles kingside, and then castles kingside, and then rook e8 controlling this file on e file. So rook e1, and then knight b d7, then c3, my fellow chessers. Knight c5, attacking the bishop on b3, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game on bishop c2, then d takes e4, d takes e4, and then bishop c7. It's the idea of bishop d7, controlling the file on d file. So let's continue the game. Queen e2, queen e7, and then b4, attacking the knight on c5, and then knight e6, and then knight c4, knight f4, attacking the queen on e2. So bishop takes f4, my fellow chessers. Good move by Firouzja. And then e takes f4, and then e5, attacking the knight on f6, and then knight g5, mistake of Magnus Carlsen, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position is bishop g4, my fellow chessers. That's the best continuation on this position. And if it take, my fellow chessers, as you can see, this is free knight. We have queen takes e2, as you can see, my fellow chessers, and then we have rook takes e2, and then rook takes e2, and then as you can see, my fellow chessers, Magnus Carlsen is one rook up, my fellow chessers. So you do not take the knight, even though it is free. So let's continue the game, real game. So knight g5. What's the idea of knight g5? Attacking the pawn on c3. So let's continue the real game. h3, mistake of Firouzja. The best continuation on this position is knight d6, my fellow chessers. Attacking the bishop on c8, at the same time attacking the rook on e8. So let's continue the real game. h3, g6. We have space here, something like that. So let's continue the game on queen d2. What's the idea of queen d2? Attacking this, at the same time protecting this, my fellow chessers. Wait, my fellow chessers. If you're asking me, what if it take this, my fellow chessers? This is free. We have only queen d3, and as you can see, my fellow chessers, this is a trap, my fellow chessers, because we have, as you can see, this queen on queen to h7. We have threat here, at the same time threat here, my fellow chessers. Example, we have g6, we have queen takes c3, my fellow chessers. What if we go back here? Wait, if we go back here on g5, we have queen takes h7, and then king f8, and then we have queen h8, checkmate, my fellow chessers. That's why you do not do that, okay? So let's continue the real game, my fellow chessers. g6, and then queen d2, attacking this, at the same time protecting this. Then bishop e7 of Magnus Carlsen is mistake, my fellow chessers. The best continuation on this position is rook d8, my fellow chessers, controlling this file, this d file. So let's continue the real game on bishop e6, mistake of Magnus Carlsen. So knight d6, ooh, good move by Alireza Firouzja. What's the idea of knight d6? Attacking this, as attacking the rook on e8, at the same time attacking this on pawn on b7. So let's continue the game. Rook d8, rook d8, then c4. Oops, why? If you take this is free, my fellow chessers. So if you take this, my fellow chessers, we have bishop takes e5, bishop takes e5, and then knight takes e5. Then we have queen takes b7, my fellow chessers. That's why you do not take that, my fellow chessers, because let's continue the real game. Real game, c4, knight b6, ooh, knight b6, and then c5. Then knight c5, back, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game. Bishop e4, attacking this. b6, ooh, creating a destroying the c pawn, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the real game. Knight d4, attacking this on e6. Bishop on e6, at the same time attacking the pawn on c6. Bishop d7, defending this, at the same time defending that. Bishop takes d5, c takes d5, and then queen takes f4, my fellow chessers. Ooh. And then b takes c5, b takes c5, and then rook b8, rook a b8, controlling this. So let's continue the real game. So rook a b1, challenging the rook. Rook takes b8, b1, and then rook takes b1, and then rook b8, rook takes b8, and then bishop takes b8, and then knight f3. What's the idea of knight f3? To go here, something like that, or here. So let's continue the game. Bishop c7, queen b4, and then bishop c6, knight c8. Ooh, attacking this on queen on e7, at the same attacking this. We have queen to d7, knight takes a7, then bishop a4. What's the idea here? To go here, something like that. So let's continue the game on queen b7. What's the idea of queen b7? Let's continue the game. d4, ooh, creating a pass pawn of Magnus Carlsen. So c6, my fellow chessers, attacking the queen on d7. You do not take that because we have knight or queen in this position, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game on queen d8, then queen b4. It's the idea of queen d4, attacking the bishop on a4, at the same attacking the pawn on d4. We have this, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the game on bishop c2. Ooh. And then knight b5, attacking this pawn, and then bishop e4. Ooh, bishop e4, bishop e4, attacking this, and then knight takes c7, queen takes c7, then knight takes d4, and then queen takes e5, and then queen c4. Then queen g5, threatening checkmate, my fellow chessers, as you can see, my fellow chessers. So let's continue the real game on f3. Ooh, f3. And then queen e3 check, my fellow chessers. So after king h1, and then Magnus Carlsen resigns the game. Why? If we continue the game, as you can see, my fellow chessers, the game, we have this, my fellow chessers. As you can see, Alireza Firouzja is leading 2 pawns in this side on a2, and then c6 and a2.